Welcome to the second set of breakout sessions to the National NACCE Conference. Before we get started, I want to briefly share with you how you can be active and engaged through this session. Please engage in the conversations and respond to speakers and other participants through the Ideas tab. It'll be found on your right-hand side. Please post any questions that you may have for the moderators and speakers in the Q&A tab. So again, that's a friendly reminder that there are questions and ideas that you can post both in the Ideas tab and the Q&A tab. We will have dedicated 5 to 10 minutes at the end of this session to go over all questions, thoughts, and ideas. So please feel free to participate all throughout. Don't forget to use the hashtag NACCE2021 to share your conference insights with us on social media. All of your feedback, support, pictures, and experiences are super helpful here at the NACCE for the NACCE team. This session is being recorded, and all registrants will receive a breakout session recordings at the end of October. I want to thank quickly the NACCE 2021 sponsors, and if you haven't had a chance to please go visit the virtual hall for all of our sponsor contributions. Today, we have all the folks, a ton of folks from the Houston Community College team, deans and directors on how they came together to integrate entrepreneurial education into the classroom and curriculum during the pandemic. So this is part of the academic programming track, and I turn it over to you, Danielle.
Thank you, Katie. As Katie stated, today we are going to be talking about how we integrated entrepreneurial education into the classroom. Today, you're going to hear from a collaboration of efforts. So we have deans, we have directors, and we have department chairs and faculty who are going to talk about how we made this happen during the pandemic. Overview for today's program. First, we're going to start off by talking about how you can learn how to leverage entrepreneurship across other institutional priorities and initiatives. Secondly, we'll talk about some techniques and tools that you can use to help engage your faculty and students to get them to participate. And then we're going to talk about problems and challenges that are associated when deploying innovation and entrepreneurship education. So the first section of our meeting today, me and Ravi Brombard is the Director of Student Innovation and Entrepreneurship. We're going to do a tag team approach, and we're going to be talking about how you can leverage entrepreneurship across other institutional priorities and initiatives. And as everybody in this room knows, there is so much going on at our institutions. So when we have those competing forces, it is important to make priorities. And that's what Ravi and I will be focusing on. So I'm going to turn it over to Ravi now.
Awesome. And such a pleasure to present with Dr. Stagg, who is the Department Chair for Speech and Communications at HCC. And the slide you see on the share here, it's the HCC's kind of strategic plan, right? It's the first 2 pages that on the document, and it is our Chancellor Maldonado who says HCC has a bold plan for the future of education in Houston. The strategy is grounded in our college's mission, vision, and strategic priorities. And I share this because it is so important to have leadership at the college support these activities. And those strategic priorities for HCC, these key 5 priorities, so we really are tackling not all of them at once, but we're definitely are talking about student success when it comes to the pitch competitions. We're also talking about community engagement that includes faculty and staff, as well as our industry partners. And then we're also tackling sustainability, where we are looking for ways in making or scaling our projects where we now have donors and others. So looking at how our initiative and this group's initiative ties with the school's priorities. In addition, some of the core values that are at most important to make this good work happen is a dire commitment to collaborate with one another. Trusting one another is so important for cross collaboration teams to work, and then also a drive to innovate. So with that, I want to just take a second, Dr. Stagg. I'm going to talk about my office, if that's okay. This is something I'm very passionate about. It is the Office of Student Innovation and Entrepreneurship at the college. As we presented at NACCE before, our office did not exist, but it did, enabled by the Chancellor and the Vice Chancellor and the Associate Vice Chancellor. Many of you know Dr. Maya Dernovo at this conference. Enabled by them, the Office of Student Innovation and Entrepreneurship gets to do this vision that's put together about creating change makers. So I share this vision because the one right in the center, before right after building awareness and giving them lots of trainings and programs, we have this center globe that is about the pitch competitions and hackathons and engaging students for it. This is so important because it helps students validate through scientific means of research and having judges and industry experts validate that those ideas are good. But in addition, it helps us teach entrepreneurship as a kind and helpful profession, accessible to all who want to build skills, solve problems, find gaps, and of course, make profit. It's so important for me that our students walk away feeling like change makers, that they have whatever they need to solve problems. It doesn't matter which industry they'll set their careers paths on. All we want to do is teach them this locus of control that they could be helpful and they could be kind. And in order to be helpful, you must be educated. And of course, that means going through so many different things. It's not always at school that you get educated. So, but it also means that listening to the customer, listening to the community, and also being kind so that you can leverage opportunities that come to you. So with that, Dr. Stagg, I'm going to pass it back to you to talk about student competitions and why they're important.
Thank you, Ravi. Well, competitions, as we know, they are highly impactful because they help provide a unique setting to develop, plan, and present an idea or a solution to a business need. So the students who have competed in the ideas pitch competitions, they look at problems that are facing society and they strive to come up with some type of solution to help society conquer those problems. They also inspire creativity, analytical thinking, problem solving, and public speaking. And when Ravi and I first met, my background comes from public speaking, speech and communication. So I was introduced to the Entrepreneurship Center, and Ravi and I got together, and it just sounded like a match made in heaven because public speaking, speech faculty working together to help students begin to prepare for competitions, because many of our students have not given a pitch presentation. So getting those skills for the students. So through this, we're able to create. So we're creating change makers, and we're doing that by building awareness and also inspiring action from our student entrepreneurs. Also, they're impacting the world with these new products, services, and technologies. A couple of products that stand out to me that student pitches have given in the past. We had one student who during the pandemic, she came up with the idea of a mask that turns into many different features. So it could be a headband, it could also be a mask, it could also be a purse. So looking at problems that society has and coming up with these different solutions. And through that, we are able to empower our communities so that these entrepreneurs can launch companies, they can scale technologies, and then they can create tomorrow's jobs. Just like the student who created the mask, I'm not sure how many masks she sold, but she created a website for that mask, Ravi, if you remember that. And people were so interested in purchasing that mask.
Absolutely. And not only does that help her, but it also helps the community because there was a huge need for masks when she launched her launched her company, and the pandemic was just in its third month. I think it was rising crazy at the time. So so important. So tell us about the process for that leads up to the competition. This is where your office played a big role.
Okay, yes. So our office, the speech and communication department, we played a major role in the hosting workshops and training sessions, because those training sessions were designed to engage and teach entrepreneurial mindset to the students, also to help them build awareness of problems that are impacting society, and also inspire action from student entrepreneurs. So through that process, we were able to host these various workshops. And the main workshops that we hosted were effective communication. We had a workshop on ideation training, also rapid prototyping training, and a mock training. So I'm going to talk about two of those workshops that focused on speech and communications, and that would be the effective communication workshop. So with the effective communication workshop, we had 4 speech faculty members who presented this workshop, and it was a virtual presentation for students who were interested in competing in the ideas pitch competition. So within that workshop, we focused on tone, pitch, and nonverbal communication. Now, keep in mind, we are teaching these skills in a virtual setting. So what you're doing on the virtual setting is a little bit different from face-to-face communication, and many of our students had never given a virtual pitch. So telling them how to use your voice, because even when you're talking to a computer, or it feels like you're talking to a computer, you still have to strive to bring your voice alive so that you have that pitch and the tone to pull the audience in. We also focused on public speaking, and when you're talking to a computer, make sure that you're looking at the camera so that it has that feel of real life public speaking. And we focused on the business pitch presentation, which is completely different than if you give a presentation at a wedding or at a funeral. So it has to have those business aspects. And throughout that effective communication workshop, we had Q&A so students could ask any questions on how they could improve their public speaking.
So I'll take the next one here on ideation and prototyping. And by the way, if you engage at your community college, these departments, there are lots of faculty that are experts. You don't have to go far. Engage your faculty for these competitions. Reach out to them and say, hey, could you put a workshop on effective communications, and just go through these bullets. For this one, ideation and prototyping, this is really where we get to leverage YouTube and offer on-demand workshops by experts. So we offer a seminar on design thinking that was put together by an innovation director at Accenture. So our students are learning directly from Accenture on design thinking. It's a 30-minute segment, and it's on YouTube because it allows faculty to embed it into their LMS systems as a extra credit, or just say, hey, look, you want to take part in the competition? Here's some education, 30 minutes, you can forward, you can go backwards, it's transcribed, there's video chapters. It is set up there to get the students to learn the education wherever they are at whatever time they want to. We also teach about the Lean Canvas, taught by SCORE, which is a volunteer group run by the SBA in every city in the U.S. These are professionals who are retired, or entrepreneurs who are retired. They have taught these workshops on the Lean Startup Model, the Business Canvas, and what we do there is we record them, and again, we put them on our YouTube channel and make them available for the students to get the concept. Another 30-minute video. So these are small videos, right? Broken into chapters. We also have workshops on innovation thinking. Very recently, our new course content for innovation thinking will come from Houston Methodist, Director of Innovation Systems Engineering. Someone who talks about pumps and pipes, whether you're in medical or engineering or in space, we're always working with pumps and pipes. So you're going to learn, our students will now learn from these these amazing minds that are right in our community. All you have to do is engage these experts in your community, ask them to put together a 30-minute a presentation that you can leverage on your YouTube channels, and let them know, let faculty know that these content is available. This entrepreneurial education is available for your students whenever they like. Encourage them to offer extra credit as well. The last one there, a rapid prototyping training. This is our big event that we do every semester. I'm so proud to say yesterday we hosted our Appathon with our partners from Apple, as well as Greentown Labs, which is a big climate tech incubator. We had 4 keynote speakers, 8 judges, 240 kids registered, 165 on a 9-hour marathon, all virtual, by the way. We ran this, you can find the entire program on YouTube, and we had 16 ideas presented, and I believe 17 students walked away with the cash prize, but everyone walked away with the education of this hackathon. In fact, I'll go ahead and put in a shameless plug here. If you want to learn about Appathon, tomorrow at NACCE at 3:15 p.m., the digital technology faculty and myself again will be offering a practical guide on how to put an Appathon at your school, right? So that's just my shameless plug. So I'm going to pass it back to you, Dr. Stagg. Tell us about the mock trainings and why those are so important.
Thank you. So the mock training, practice makes perfect. And with the mock training, this was actually a recommendation from a speech faculty member. And she thought that, okay, we provided the effective communication workshop, but now we need to give our students some hands-on training with presenting the pitch competition. So these were mocked pitch training sections. And what it was is that we had virtual rooms set up for students. And in each room, each Zoom breakout room, we had faculty mentors and judges. So there were over 25 faculty members that participated in these mock trainings. So students, and it was either individual students or teams, we did have teams as well. So they would come in and deliver their pitch to the faculty members, and the faculty members could ask questions, they could provide feedback, all with the aim of helping the student to improve upon their pitch competition, or maybe even think about something that they had not thought about in terms of the product or service that they were promoting. So this was really a beneficial type of training for students. And I don't think that any of us thought that it was going to be as helpful or as successful as it was, but it was definitely a success.
And the slide there, slide typo, but I consider myself faculty for the record. So that's my 26th. I was there too. So with that, I want to pass it over and gain a perspective from the amazing Richard Goslin. Richard Goslin has truly figured out how to engage faculty and students to help us. So Richard, I'm going to pass it on to you. Go for it.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you so much. Am I on?
You're on.
Okay. All right. So, Ravi and I's friendship developed at the beginning, really, of the pandemic, when he was helping out with the training of our faculty for WebEx and a lot of Microsoft Office products. And he really went beyond the call of duty in assisting our faculty to get online. And then, was introduced really to his initiative, which had begun many years ago, but thought I could give a helping hand. I'm an economist by training, and I felt like, hey, this would be a worthy product, a worthy enterprise, not only for my own students, but also I could get faculty interested in what as well. In other words, fellow faculty members to do the same thing. So my idea that I pitched to Ravi was to say, hey, look, would you mind if I produce some videos for students and a video for faculty? So I produced 2 separate videos. I'll show you a clip if we have some time. If you think, Ravi, we have time to show a clip, I'll show one. But one of the clips was directed specifically to students to get them interested in the pitch competition itself. And then the other one was designed primarily for the faculty and getting them to come on board, not only to publicize the idea to their own students, but also to reach out even more and ask them if they would assist in being mentors to participate in what Dr. Stagg was talking about earlier. So I was really kind of an add-on, right? I mean, in other words, this thing was already alive and kicking and running, and I was just offering to give it a little bit of a boost by trying to market this thing and make it exciting. And as Ravi and I talked about this on many occasions, you know, when you get, you know, an email and maybe, you know, let's say a flyer that's sent to you electronically on a PDF, there's only so much engagement that really takes place there. And when you can put a human face on it, actually have your mug appear in a video, that really takes on a totally different character. So we didn't publish these on YouTube. These were published in EduTube because that's our own video community. And Ravi, if we could we just play like maybe 30 seconds of the first one and maybe 30 seconds of the other one? I don't think it's appropriate to show the whole thing, but maybe let's do the one for the student.
You got it.
All right.
The sound is shared.
All right, very good.
Welcome. Have you ever had an idea for a product or a service that could not only make money, but potentially have a huge social impact, but you brushed it off because you didn't think you could pull it off, but the thought just would not leave your head? Well, that might be a sign. It could be the sign that says that you might have the entrepreneurial spirit. So let me introduce you to something that may change the way that you look at that idea. The HCC virtual pitch competition is designed for students to share their creative ideas and social innovations. Individuals or even teams can compete in the competition by delivering.
I think that's good enough, right? So we can stop there.
And, oh man, I didn't want to stop. The sound and how you had me hooked.
No, I appreciate that, but I also know that, you know, after a while, attendees tend to tune out a little bit, you know, and that's understandable. But yeah, if you could, maybe we just play just a little bit of the second clip. And we focused on, yep. Yeah, go ahead.
Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about a program that's been around for some time at Houston Community College, and that is the Houston Community College Virtual Ideas Pitch Competition. And we have another one coming up this spring of 2021. And so today, I want to share with you a little bit of information about this and to make a pitch to you about how you can get involved. Okay, so what is this Ideas Pitch Competition anyway? Well, it's designed for students to share their creative ideas and social innovations. Essentially, individuals or teams can compete in the competition by delivering a pitch to a team of judges. Students actually pitch a product or a service that explores innovative approaches to answering pressing sustainability and social needs. This is a competition that's open to all
I think that's good enough.
College students. So it's
I couldn't help myself in putting that robot in there because I really wanted to try to get people excited. We didn't have any students present with a robot, but I thought that was cool anyway. So the idea was really to create some excitement and some buzz around the whole thing. It's not that this was not already popular. It already really was popular, but we wanted to take it to another level, and we really wanted to get more faculty involved. And quite frankly, I was absolutely beside myself by how many faculty members participated. I think Dr. Stagg and I, when we looked at this, we said, are you kidding me? We've got 26 faculty members who signed up. Actually, there were more than that, but you know, there were some people that weren't able to come at that exact hour, but there were some people that came and went. And there were varying degrees of participation. There were some people that could only give an hour of their time, which was fine. There were some people that stayed all day long and did the entire thing, which was incredible. I mean, we just couldn't have anticipated that there would be this much traction. I think the cool thing about it is none of us that were involved in this had any authority over any of these faculty members. So it wasn't like they were listening to me because I was their boss. I wasn't their boss. I was just another faculty member, an economics professor, who was just using good old moral suasion to try to convince them that this is a good thing. So I think, you know, one of the things, and it's interesting that Ravi puts this slide up right now, is that we created a great deal of trust, right? And that is, I think part of the reason why faculty were so eager to come forward is, number one, they felt like they were part of the thing, and that we weren't like directing them and making them do certain things. They were providing their own talents and their own treasures and their own abilities in their own way, without it being scripted, without it being artificial, without, you know, constraints other than the constraint of time, right? And I think the students responded very favorably. I was just absolutely astounded by the kind of comments that we got from students. So anyway, that's pretty much it in terms of, you know, my contribution to the overall project. I'm very proud to have been part of it and proud to continue to be a part of it. I don't think I'll ever be able to walk away from it now. So Robbie has thrown out his fish hook and has nailed me, and I don't think I will be able to get away. And that's a good thing. So anyhow, thanks for having me, Robbie.
Awesome. You know, it's so important that faculty and Richard, he's being very humble. He's done so much more to engage more people because he's a trusted voice with the faculty, and also the engagement of the students from the crowdsourced community that we've put together. So it just is awesome. So I want to pass it on to our amazing deans. So at this point, Dr. Riley, is it? Take it away.
Sure. So I think now that we've established that this is very faculty driven and community based, I think it's really important to acknowledge that one of the fundamental values at HCC is shared governance. And so, you know, we're a very large and complex institution. So that sense of collaboration across all levels of the institution is very important. You know, I heard Ravi say that he identifies as a faculty member. I think we identify Ravi as a faculty member. I think we all, many of us identify as faculty members. So it's very much framed within the teaching and learning of the institution. I want to talk a little bit with my colleagues, Suzette Brimmer, who is our Dean of Consumer Art and Sciences. She wasn't able to be with us today, but we are representing some of her great examples from consumer arts. I'm here with Dr. Amy Tan, who is our Dean of English and Communication, and I am the Dean of Media, Visual and Performing Arts. And just another sort of note of context about our institution. We have 23 campuses and we offer instructional programs across all of those campuses. So, you know, when we think about the scope or the span of what the instructional leaders are managing across the district, it's a significant size, complexity, diversity of programs, diversity of faculty and students. So those are all things to keep in mind as we talk a little bit about what this looks like from an institutional perspective. And as much as Drs. Tan, Brimmer, or myself would participate in top-down leadership, what that might look like in these entrepreneurial initiatives.
And can I interject here just for a minute to remind everyone that structurally the way that we're organized, Suzette technically is what we would call a COE dean, and so if you're looking at a traditional academic structure, her programs are entirely workforce, and Dr. Riley, her programs kind of straddle. They straddle workforce and academic, and then I have programs that are I have some programs that are strictly academic and some programs that are strictly workforce. And what I think is clear here when we're talking about the collaboration is this opportunity for interdisciplinarity. So like, the state of Texas might say this course belongs in this foundational component area and every student must have one of these. But this is a real chance for us to say, okay, well, this course really speaks to this course over here. And that's where the innovation happens for the students, when they start to make those connections between what they're getting in speech and connecting that to what they're doing in performing arts or what they're doing in consumer arts. So I think you'll see a little bit of that as we continue.
So in approaching this work, one of the perceived challenges, and I think that in an institution of our size, perception is a challenge in itself, because we don't have a designated ownership of entrepreneurship within the institution. So that sort of just creates a lot of ambiguity of, is this an instructional initiative? Is this a student services initiative? Is this coming from our workforce instruction and divisions? Are we looking at this as a student success retention initiative? And of course, it's like all of the above. And we tend to create divisions within the larger institution administratively, and also in terms of allocating resources. So I think one of the roles that your instructional leaders really have to navigate is making sure that there is a shared vision of collaboration, and create those relationships that are needed across different areas of the institution to support this. And part of that, and this can be very difficult to do in any institution, is maintaining the non-ownership of entrepreneurship. So we're very fortunate to have Ravi in his capacity, and he is amazing at connecting people and connecting programs and elevating the conversation in the institution. And we have fantastic leadership around entrepreneurship, but it's an initiative, an activity, an idea, or way of being, a way of moving through the world that I think floats across the institution. So one thing that's been really helpful.
You muted yourself.
Sorry, I was trying to move the presentation.
Try now, please.
Is really keep the students at the center of the conversation, and think about the levels of the institution, so the hierarchies, but then also the way that we distribute our activities across various administrative units. So we're always looking for ways within the institution to collaborate. So we're making sure that we're connecting instruction to our student services. We have great support from our college operations teams. We frame this around student life. We look at how this connects to employment opportunities. And so we're really trying to think of entrepreneurship as a great equalizer, and also as a way to synthesize a lot of the activities of the organization. And I will turn it over to Dr. Tan.
So as I mentioned before, one of the perceived challenges is curricular limitations, right? So our students are on a pathway. We want, our job is for them to complete. We'd like them to complete within 2 years. It doesn't always happen because they're not able to come full time. And so looking for ways that we can embed and also sort of communicate what our course level outcomes are and how they are related to marketable and employability skills. And so we get to do a lot of really fun things, like we create co-ownership in the classroom for students through open pedagogy. And you see that, what we try to do is a lot of inquiry-based learning and project-based learning where there's no right answer. The students are co-developers with us in their own learning. And it's really about challenging them and bringing them into the classroom to help design we might start with a problem, but then they're going to carry that through to its ending. And we're still teaching, but then we're facilitating, we're mentoring, we're making it possible for the learning to happen. Next slide, please. And you can see this is one of our examples of how that happens, of actually embedding the entrepreneurial skills into the curriculum. And so we do this in lots of different ways, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a later slide. And so our third perceived challenge is the initiative fatigue, right? That everyone feels, oh no, don't talk to me about another initiative. I've already bought into them all. And I think we also feel, that we start things, but we never follow through, we don't finish. And I think, that can bring about despair and depression and a lack of interest. And what we really have with this team is a lot of movement and a lot of action and productivity and, the excitement that Richard was talking about, and having all these people join in and follow through and contribute, and we're just going to keep that momentum going. And so keeping that high visibility, talking to the community, talking to the students, talking to our colleagues in leadership, and also to the ones who have the budget, right, to make sure that they see the good things that are happening and how incredibly impactful these programs are. And I think we have a slide for an example. And so this is where I really want to talk about consumer arts. Dean Brimmer couldn't be with us today, but she's really been a model for how to embed these skills into programs. And so a lot of students who come to her programs, whether it's fashion design or salon development, or her food service and restaurant ownership, a lot of students come with experience, with job-related, world-related experience. And they're in these programs, they're not just wanting to learn how to make a 4-course meal or a 12-course meal. They want to know how to open their own business. And so these types of skills are embedded along with all of the curriculum. And you can see just a few of the things. They've actually developed a couple of new courses that were designed, but it's also within the courses that already existed, creating those, putting those student learning incomes into the course. So you have here students are learning the operational aspect of running a restaurant business, and the salon development. A lot of stylists start out on their own, right? They have to rent their chair, and they have to know how to manage the money and how to manage clients. And so all of those skills, and this is going to bring back the speech and communications and effective communication. So it's all connected. And I think that brings us to Ravi's wrapping it up for us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tan. And these examples are all happening at HCC, and I'm just so in awe of the opportunity to work with such fantastic administrators and educators. So while many times my name's shared, I say it's so honor for me to be working with such great leadership and such great educators, because at the end of the day, it's all about making that impact. So some just quick advice for those listening in. Look, you got to start small. Our programs now, we get to say 5 years in operation, but look, it started with an idea that Dr. Meyer Darnovo hired me to do, which was to put on a competition. You could see our humble beginnings there. That's the full attendance of that event, right? Few dozen students, but it started the journey. In fact, some of the students on that slide are doing some amazing things. I'm just going to call out Muhammad Almani, who is Houston's best SEO. If you search for Houston SEO, his company pops up, shows up as #1. Because he's built his skill sets at HCC, and now he's got clients, he's hired people. He's one of our MBDA Student Entrepreneur Awardee. So he's doing great. So while that was a small initiative, There's impact has been happening, and it took Muhammad 5 years to get to his scale. So my advice, start small. Don't try to do the big thing, big grand thing. It doesn't work. Success has many parents. So find your little mini successes and then build your programs. Don't try to do something big and fail and everybody's calling it just another initiative, right? Grow your network. It's so important. We started to work with the Maker Fair. We took all our students to the Maker Fair. We engaged the Junior Achievement Group. We engaged university partners. We brought a bunch of students, not just from HCC, but from other institutions, because we wanted our students to kind of rub shoulders with those students and learn from them. We're not just saying HCC students, this is only for HCC students, because then we're really not giving our students the opportunity to network with others outside of HCC as well. So when we get the high schoolers, the overachieving high schoolers of the junior achievement programs, or the four-year institution like University of Houston or Rice University students working with our students, great things happen. So grow your network. Don't be afraid of having other partners in the ecosystem work with you. And please don't hog your brand. Let other people also share their brand. It's so important that you be humble in this process. And lastly, scale your impact. That is an actual live picture of our auditorium being full to capacity for one of our events promoting at the West Loop campus. And that there on the stage is one of the presidents, Dr. Madeline Barillo, who's talking to the student group about different career choices and so on. My point is, start small and then scale your impact slowly. It does take time, and it does take more than just one person. You have to bring in everybody, right? So I'm going to go through this slide quickly, but look, our impact so far, this is something I'm very proud of, sharing that since 2015, more than 1,400 students have participated in these different competitions. We've hosted over 28 of these competitions. 8 of them have been fully virtual because of the pandemic, but we've pivoted and we've learned how we can now engage international students. That hackathon that I shared about having yesterday, more than 25% of the students were international from UK, London, and India, and so on. So we've learned a little about hosting virtual competitions. So far, since this slide was put together, 611 finalists pitched to about 61 business leaders and judges. All of our leaders come from the community. A great community for you to consider being part of is either EO in New York City or TIE, T-I-E. These are nonprofits. They will give you mentors and and speakers within 48 hours of notice. Just engage with them, and they will provide these business executives to you. Or SCORE. SCORE is also a great partner. Over 180 plus students have been awarded a cash or a scholarship prize, and not including yesterday's $2,500 give out, we were at 75K of scholarships awarded. And so far, we haven't done a full-fledged survey or a program evaluation, but we've gathered that we've got about 50 small business startups that have come about from these activities. And this was based on an estimate from our 2018 survey. So I hope to put some sort of a survey in 2022 to get a more accurate number of how many of our participants actually went out and created businesses or registered an LLC or INC. But the last impact there is we have now engaged 26 faculty from about 15 different instructional departments, and with help of Richard and Dr. Stagg and all of the dean's support, we will be able to grow that number for our impact. I'll leave all of us with the why. The why for us is the student, right? Student success is so important. Many of you have heard about Jassim Muhammad at this conference. He was one of the students that filed his IP patent using the Michelson IP ebook that we learned about from NACCE. Jassim is now at a 4-year institution at University of Houston Clear Lake. His recommendation letter came from my office, and he is pursuing an engineering degree where he has already created so many inventions from robots to drones. He's doing amazing work. V is another example of our hackathon student who never thought he could present to an audience. Now he's won global hackathons by Facebook and Google, and today he is a PhD student pursuing biostatistics at one of the large medical institutions in Houston. He's our international student as well. Kanisha Friend is a winner from our student competitions, and she is a doula who found a tech business during the pandemic. She took her services and her mentoring online, and today she has a group of, I want to say half a dozen doulas off of her website, hairbloom.co. She was also the student keynote to our convocation this year. And then, of course, Robert Ramirez. Robert is a student who at first did not know what he wanted to do. Taking part in our competition really enabled him to find his true mission, which is motivational speaking, which he said it's surprising because he needs motivation himself. But at the same time, he's found that he can create amazing videos on YouTube and drive lots of audience to his channel. And now he's a public speaker for ISDs on taking action. And his mission was around supporting students with ADHD, giving them tools and techniques to make that happen, to facilitate that process. So with that, I'll just end with the contact. I know we're right at 44 minutes into this presentation. So this is how you can get in touch with Dr. Tan, Dr. Riley, Dr. Stagg, myself, Professor Goslin, and Dean Brimmer at HCC. Learn about the different initiatives we have, and we are always here to share everything that we've learned, and even the things we failed at. We'll share those as well. All you have to do is engage with us, and we're happy to help. So thank you so much. Katie, we'll pass it back to you at 45 minutes and 5 seconds.
Yes, thank you. Perfect timing. We have some really great questions ready to go for your team. First question. Can you share the link to the HCC's YouTube channel so we can take a look at your workshops?
Absolutely. I'll instead of a link, I'll do one better. Just search for HCC Innovation Lab in YouTube, and then the channels will pop up. It's much easier just to go by keywords. Hope that answers.
HCC, one more time, HCC Innovation Labs?
Lab, just one singular.
Perfect. I will put that into the ideas tab and the question tab as soon as we wrap up. How many students groups actually pitched? So referring to the beginning of the presentation, you had mentioned the pitch group. How many students groups actually pitched?
So if you saw the slide, we've done 28 competitions. So based on that number, every semester we have these activities. So we just have been offering multiple training competitions in every semester. So it just kind of tallies up. So I'm not sure if they mean yesterday. I'll just take the most recent example. At the Appathon, we had 16 teams presented to 8 judges yesterday. And then out of that, 17 students won a cash prize. It's just fresh in my mind, yeah. I hope that answers.
Perfect. Next question. What was the process? Submit a Lean Biz Canvas, video pitch. How did you do the nuts and bolts?
So in this question, I'll take this one as well. So it's a simple application where we're taking the student's idea, we're asking them if they would like to submit a YouTube video. It's not mandatory. It turns out some students love it. Some students don't yet know how to make a YouTube video. So the application process is super simple. If you want to see an example of it, go to hccs.edu/pitch pitch, Pitch, and you'll see a live example of our current semester's pitch competition, and then just scroll down and you'll see the application form. It's actually not that heavy. We're looking for simple ideas, and then we work with the students to refine it better. Dr. Stagg can share with you, the trainings add so much more to what they submit. By the time we get to the end, lots of things change.
I'd also like to invite Dr. Stagg to speak for just a minute on the speech competition, which we've been talking about the pitch competition, but where the faculty, it's actually embedded in the curriculum, and the faculty so they're, we talked a lot about co-curricular, but this is not just co-curricular, it's embedded in the curriculum.
Yes, so we had a speech faculty member who was doing a capstone presentation in her business and professional communication class. Her capstone presentation was based upon the Shark Tank. So if you're familiar with the ABC TV show, so she was doing that. And when we came in contact with Ravi and what he was doing with the pitch competitions, we decided to join forces through a virtual competition. And so now we're able to have not only the Shark Tank capstone project, but also we have opened it up by joining with Ravi to where students across HCC's campuses can participate in it. And especially those students who are taking the business and professional speech communication class with that particular instructor, she provides them with the information so that they can submit their video and submit their application as well. So it's a capstone project within a class, but also a system-wide competition.
Awesome, thank you. Next question. Did you allow community entrepreneurs to participate or only student ideas?
So I'd say student, what we say student loosely, meaning we allow high school students to take part in the competitions. We have a separate track for high school students. And then we also allow university students. In fact, one of our sponsors is the University of St. Thomas that has a McNair Center that has given us the prize money. So part of our sustainability model is we're out there raising funds for the competition. We're trying not to use HCC dollars or budgets as much, we're using our foundation to get the funds raised, and then we distribute them. So it is for students in the city of Houston, and the Appathon now says it's students across the globe who care to show up and take part. Our latest partner gave us $2,500 to do the Appathon, and that partner is TIE.org, which is a global organization supporting entrepreneurship. So depending on our sponsors, we would have our competitions designed for this, but it's all students. They have to be in some way labeled students across the ecosystem.
Perfect. Two more questions. Were any of the pitches tied to businesses in the community, or were they strictly student ideas for improving community/society? So I guess going back to your comment about all the different themes in the pitches, is there a focus, or can it really be anything?
I'll take this one too. This is really the students' ideas. We're not, there are lots of partners in the ecosystem that host competitions for the entrepreneur, the commercial entrepreneur, right? Those who have already established a customer base and is now trying to scale. We're in the ideation stage. We're working with students. We partner with, in Houston, we have Liftoff. We have our own, HCC has our own small business, business plan competition. So we leverage those resources. We'll let our students know that these are opportunities available to them, but we don't necessarily compete with them. We are focused with our own students or students from high school and from those that are coming from our partners.
Perfect. And what were the two resources that you mentioned for mentors and speakers? I think you mentioned it towards the end of your presentation. You mentioned two resources for mentors. Can you reiterate those two resources?
Yeah, 3 actually. EO.org, which is the Entrepreneurs Organization. TIE.org, which is the Endist Entrepreneurs. I think the rebranding is the Innovative Entrepreneur. And then SCORE, SCORE SBA, which is, in every city, there's a group of mentors available to you. Just have to approach them.
Perfect. That wraps up our Q&A portion. I have a little bit of housekeeping here at the end. If you have more questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A tab to the right-hand side of this presentation, as well as any comments or ideas that you have in the Ideas tab to the right-hand side. In both tabs, I've inserted a survey for this session. Your feedback, your information, comments, all of it is super helpful for the NACCE team as well as our presenters in the future. So please take a look at both of those. There's one survey just in 2 places, whichever is easier for you to access. And I want to announce our 2 winners that were very engaged in the chat, asked lots of questions, not to mention the Ideas tab, with lots of comments for the team as well. And those 2 winners are Holly Hansen and Annie Hall. So again, Holly Hansen and Annie Hall. So congrats to those winners. You do get a $5 gift card to Starbucks, and we will be sending those out. But before we wrap up, really quickly, I just want to, again, draw everyone's attention to the survey. That's helpful, but also what's next on the agenda. Please check your Today's Agenda tab in the virtual conference so that you can see the entire lineup. But just immediately following this breakout session, we have a fireside chat with Dr. Gary Michelson, who's the founder of the Michelson Institute for Intellectual Property, and our keynote presentation and panel discussion with Vice Chancellor of Workforce and Development for all of the community colleges in California. So again, that's the Chancellor for all of the community colleges in the entire state of California joining us after the wrap up of this session. So again, congrats to our winners for participating and engaging. And a huge thank you to all of our, excuse me, our speakers today, Houston Community College. Great presentation as always. Your whole team in college is super active with NACCE. We appreciate you being here. Love the work that you do. Love the questions from the team that you got. And I will be reiterating a lot of your resources also in the tab for all participants to get access to those. But thank you again, all of the speakers at Houston Community College. So any last words from the speakers? No?
I'll just say go and change the world. You guys are educators and you empower others. So be kind, be helpful, tell that to the students and they will change the world.
Perfect parting words. Thank you all for joining us. This session is now complete.